guys, I hope you all are doing very well today and that you got some insight on my previous video. If you're new and you don't know what we're doing, so we're just fetching the top 100 albums using this API. That's the Apple API. I will attach a link on the description below for you to go ahead and watch the intro video so you have an idea of the bigger picture. So during the next few minutes here, what we will be doing, we will structure the project using the MVVM architecture, and I will also tell you guys what is the reason why it's a better approach to use the MVVM architecture over the MVC architecture. And then we will be downloading this data using URLSession basically. And yeah, let's get started, guys. First of all, if you find any value of what I'm teaching you guys, please just do share, like, and subscribe if you want to. If you don't, that's fine. Yeah, so basically just click on the top 100 album, click on option command, and to create the folder we will be calling this guy API. Rename, okay, I'd already created it, but let's just go ahead, option command, and one more time, let's call this controller. One more time, view model, view, and then model. Make sure whenever you're clicking make sure, guys, whenever you're creating a new folder, you click on top 100 album, otherwise it will just be nesting it inside of whatever folder you clicked on. Alright, now APIs. Yeah, click on API and command N. Next, call this guy service. That's the class we will be that's the default class we will be using to fetch our albums. So I'm going to import UI kit. The reason why is foundation is part of UI kit, so I don't need foundation here. So first of all, I always start with first struct. The reason why I start with first struct is light, it's easy to use, it's not complicated like a class, and if I feel there is a necessity for me to create a class, I will just transform the struct into a class. But so far, let's just make it a class, a struct. I mean, so it's a service, right? And so let's create a singleton. So what the singleton means, basically, we only will be creating one instance of this class, and whoever call this class will actually use only the singleton. So we will be making it a static let share be equal service, right? And I don't want anybody else to be able to instantiate the class. Let me show you guys what I mean by that. Let's come to here, feed is actually a controller, move it to controller. Let's go ahead and create an instance of that class. Let's say var service equal service, right? This is going to work. It means we created an instance of service, right? But we don't want that. So how are we going to avoid it? Is just come here, make it a private initializer, and basically if you come back and build, it's going to fail, you see, because we cannot instantiate this class no more. Now you can only access this class through the singleton, basically. All right, let's create our function. The first function we will be having func fetch top 100 albums. What do we need? We need an endpoint, right? With endpoint, which is going to be of type string. And then with a completion handler, it means whoever will be calling this function will actually be receiving whatever we're putting inside of the completion handler. So first thing first, guys, we don't even have album, so we have to create the model album very quick. Swift file. Next, let's go on this album. Again, we always start with struct. Album, and so far let's just have one variable. Let's call it var title of the album. It's going to be of type string. Come back to service. Now it's going to go away, and then let's create a URL from this function. So garland URL, I mean a URL from this endpoint that we're getting, equal URL that init with a string. We give it an endpoint. Else, what happens if the compiler cannot create a URL? We want it to fail with error. So we don't have any error here. Why don't we just go ahead and create? Okay guys, so we are going to create the error types here. So let's make it of enum. Enum is just a group of related values. So let's call this guy network errors. Okay, let's make it confirm the error type, because we will be replacing this error on fetched upon the album into this network errors. So that's why we're taking this error, we put it inside of here. So let's have one case so far. The first case we will have is URL failed, right? And let's create a variable that will actually give us a description of the error that we get. So description of type string, right? So we're switching on self mean the network errors, and let's wait for the compiler to give us an error. Let's fix it. We have one case. Okay, so if we encounter this error type, the description of it will be failed constructing an URL from the given endpoint. Alright guys, now what we will be doing here, say completion. Is it a failure or a success? It's a failure. What is the error type? Well, first of all, we have to change it here. Network errors. What is our error type? Just click the dot. We have the option URL failed. Alright, so once we succeed, we have to return actually. Whenever it fails, return. So what do we do here, guys? If we successfully create an URL, we want to establish a connection to the server. How will we do that? URLSession dot share, just like a singleton we created here. URLSession have the same singleton. Now we establish the connection. Let's download the data task with a completion handler. We give it a URL. That's the one we created above here, and then come over here, click enter. We have 3 escape value, data, and then we have response, and then we have errors. So we will be doing the exact same thing with the result. If it succeed, we'll give it an array of album. Now let's make sure we do data resume actually, and yeah, let's check if there's any error, if this error is empty or not. So how do we do it? If let error equal error. Okay, if there's an error exists, let's just completion with a failure. But we don't have this custom error yet. Why don't we just go ahead and create it? It's a case server failed. Okay, so what do we want to return when the server fail? Server fail, return fail, server fail to respond. Okay guys, now let's make it a failure type. Let's give it a server fail type, and again we return. If not, it means we get the data and the response. Now let's unwrap the data. The data that we will be getting here is optional because it can be nil, obviously. So we want to unwrap it, and safely to do that, just if let data equal data, just print the data out. Okay guys, now let's go ahead and call this function outside. Let's call it on feed here. Remember guys, what this private initializer does, it doesn't allow you to create a instance of this class. All right, let's see now. Let's service equal service, right? This is not going to work. Let's see what's the error say. Is inaccessible due to private. All right, cool, that's what we wanted. Now let's use our singleton. Let's say service. So what we want to do now is just call that function. Okay, let's go ahead and do service dot share through the singleton we created and access dot fetch dot on the album endpoint. We don't have the endpoint. Let's go ahead and create endpoint. Private let endpoint equal. So it's right here. What I want to do, I will just go ahead and paste this link on the description below so you guys can go ahead and use it. Let's feed it with the endpoint and click enter. We can call this guy result. You can call it whatever you want, but I prefer going ahead with result. Now we will be switching on the result, and we will have two cases: failure and success. If there is a success, let's just go ahead and print nothing. If there is a failure, we attach a failure with it, and let's go ahead and print an error with it. Let's go ahead and print the error, the localized description. Now let's go ahead and call this function and see what's going on. Remember guys, if there is a success here, what happened, we just print the data. Okay, see what's going on. If you will have our data back, there we go. All right, it was a lot, I understand, but thank you for sticking around, and on the next video we'll be fetching the real data and parse it and display it on a table view using leveraging the MVVM architecture. Yeah, so if you like the video, if you find any value, please do like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, and see you on the next video.